So I'll show you the video and then you tell me which one you think it is, real or fake.
No, fake.
Real.
Real.
Fake.
The hardest part of cloning someone with AI is coming up with what they'd actually say. I've devoted entire tutorials trying to mimic the tone of someone. It wasn't bad, but the audio voice was off, I didn't have video, and their words didn't quite feel right. But recently, I got my hands on 2 new tools that I think that can actually help me create a convincing clone of myself. At the end, I want to walk up to 10 people and see if they can tell the difference. Hello, good people. When you try to digitally clone yourself, you need to hit 3 key pieces: content, look, and sound. Let's start off by trying part 1, matching my content and tone. Let's try the easiest method first. Simply talk like Kamradt. So my first job out of college was with a tech startup called Innovate Tech. It has no idea who I am. This method's not gonna work. Let's try something else. You see, the words that come out of someone's mouth are derived from years of experience, memories, and personalities. It's what makes them uniquely them. Method 2, tone instructions. Okay, so I want a language model to talk like me, but where do I begin? It doesn't know who I am, so that probably means I need to give it instructions on how to talk like me. But you see, I'm not great at describing what I sound like. I think a language model would be a little bit better. I'm gonna give it samples of me speaking from a recent podcast I was on. And if you're doing this at home, just use any transcript of you talking. I'm gonna ask it, what's the best way to describe how Greg talks? Let's see what it says. Greg's pace is steady and measured. Greg's mood is predominantly enthusiastic and passionate. Greg's tone is authoritative yet approachable. Here are the instructions to talk like Greg. But wait, it also doesn't have information about my background or details that I've shared. I'm gonna do a retrieval process and give the language model stories and memories that I've shared on the podcasts, so it can have more background context about how to answer questions like me. All right, let's see if it can talk like me yet. Something still isn't quite right. By the way, the full code is available to email subscribers. If you'd like to join, totally free, links in the description. Method 3, examples. You know, a picture speaks 1,000 words. Maybe an example would speak 1,000 words as well. I'm gonna put in raw examples from the podcast of my speaking style with the ums and the ahs and everything in between. Let's ask the language model once more. Now we're getting somewhere. That's looking a little bit better. There's a problem though. GPT-4 tokens are pricey and it doesn't really fully sound like me. We need something with a bit more firepower. You know, I wanna see if fine tuning can help. Fine tuning is the process of giving your model validated data, so it learns the output you're trying to give the model. Give it enough data and you hope that its performance is gonna improve. I've avoided fine tuning up until this point because the iteration speed on development is really much slower. It's way easier to try prompt-only methods first. You should try better prompting and better retrieval before fine-tuning. One more time, you should try prompting and better retrieval before fine-tuning. I also want to try an open source model to see if it's easier to manipulate. I thought this was going to be a big pain in the butt, but then I was introduced to today's video sponsor, Gradient.ai. They make hosting open source models super easy, and it's way cheaper than GPT-4. All you need to do is just pass it samples in a few lines of code, and your model's ready to go. They have direct integrations to LangChain, and the output was also way quicker than ChatGPT. Let's give fine-tuning a go. Method 4, fine-tuning with synthetic prompts. When you want to do fine-tuning, you need to have high-quality input and output pairs, which are validated. You're basically telling the model, hey, given this input, this is what your output should say. The more you do this, the more you'll reinforce the behavior of your training set. My first thought was to synthetically generate input prompts with the GPT-4 based off of my speaking sentences. For example, if I said, last night I went to dinner with my family, I would hope that GPT-4 would generate a synthetic prompt along the lines of, what did you do last night? I'm gonna use a bunch of the lines that I said on the podcast to generate a bunch of data points and then use Gradient for fine tuning. All right, let's check the output. What was your first job out of college and did you like it? Yeah, that is totally off. Method 5, conversational prompt pairs. Maybe I need to mimic the real life natural conversation a bit more. Maybe I should have the podcast questions be the input and then my response is the output. Let's try that out.
Where you first got interested in data?
Kind of 2 pivotal moments. You know, I think I'm thinking about this the wrong way. When you fine tune, you're reinforcing the emphasis that a certain output should go along with a certain input. But I want the tone to be reinforced, not necessarily my actual content of what I say. I don't want to use fine tuning as a way to turn the language model into a database and hope that it can recite facts. I can do other retrieval and prompting techniques to tell the language model what to say. But I need the language model to learn how to say it. I think I need to make this a lot more simple. Method 6, you are Greg Kamradt. Let's use those same lines that I said on the podcast, but now instead of a synthetic prompt or a conversational prompt, simply the prompt will be, you are Greg Kamradt. Now, in my prompt, I'm going to tell the model that it's Greg Kamradt, so hopefully it'll lean into that fact with fine tuning. Let's try asking it again. Okay, now we're definitely getting somewhere, but I think there's one last thing to try. Method 7, talk in the style and tone of Greg Kamradt. I don't want to try and convert the entire model into Greg Kamradt. That's a lot of model to push around. If I wanted to do that, the chance was likely earlier in the model making process. What I really want to do is just affect the cherry on top. I want to get it good at mimicking my style. I want to fine tune on it sounding like the style and tone of Greg Kamradt, not you are Greg Kamradt. So it'll know to sound like me rather than embody me. It's a subtle difference, but I think it's going to work out. Let's try it. What's your first job out of school, and did you like it? My first job out of college was in corporate finance and budgeting. I enjoyed the analytical side of the work, but I wanted to do something more impactful. That looks good. Let's roll with that one. Wow, what a journey. But I'm glad we were able to fine tune our fine tuning approach. To recap, our final model and prompt will be a fine-tuned model with tone instructions, with examples, and relevant background context so it can answer my question. Okay, so that's a third of our battle done. Hopefully the other two parts are gonna be a lot easier. Part 2, mimic how someone looks and how they sound. A while back, I saw an awesome video generation demo going around from a company called HeyGen. I reached out to HeyGen's founder through Twitter DMs and email, and I got a nice response, but no access quite yet. But to my surprise, just last week, I got another email from HeyGen saying that it was my time. I couldn't wait to try it out. I logged on to HeyGen and then recorded a 2-minute video sample. I had to wait till the next morning until it was done fine-tuning a video. But when I woke up, I got a glorious notification that said my model was ready. Let's check it out. Welcome to the new era of video creation with HeyGen. Simply type your script to get started. Wow, that is really solid. I'm super happy with those results. Great. Now we've finished all 3 steps: content, audio, and video. So this is awesome, but what do other people think? Could they tell it is a clone? I'm gonna show 10 random people and then I wanna see what you think. I asked my clone, what was your first job out of college and did you like it? I got my iPad, I packed up my bag, and I headed to a tech meetup in San Francisco.
So Greg, how many people do you think will actually know it's a clone?
I think like half are gonna get it right. Let's go figure out if people think it's an AI or it's real Greg. I want you to tell me whether or not you think it's real or fake. Is that real me or is that clone me? Tell me real or fake.
No, fake.
You think it's fake?
Yeah, fake.
Why do you think it's fake?
Yeah, because the low resolution of the face.
Fake.
Okay, I'll go with fake.
Fake.
Real.
Real.
Fake.
All right, now I want to see what you, the audience, thinks. Which one do you think is real Greg? And which one do you think is clone Greg? Let me know what you think in the comments. My first job out of college was in corporate financial planning and analysis. My first job out of school was doing corporate financial planning and analysis for big corporations. The fact that this mimics a person so well brings up a lot of questions. Ethical, too. What should creators disclose to their audience? Should you tell someone that you're using an auto-generated clone? For me, personally, I value human relationships and authentic connections. I'm not going to be using this deceptively. I will absolutely disclose if I'm ever doing this, and it'll likely just be for testing out purposes. If I were to do this, though, the verticals that interest me the most are going to be short-form content, news recap, and personalized sales videos. If you want to see more on my tone journey, you can check out the webinar that I did with Harrison Chase, CEO of LangChain. And by the way, email subscribers got early access to this content. So if you want to join, totally free, links in the description. And don't forget to check out gradient.ai so you can fine tune your own model.